How could you? Apologize right now. Hartley bought this for you guys.
Why would you throw it in the trash like this? No, Francis. Did you see the tag? I can't possibly let Trish wear something like this. I had thrown away the baby clothes, and my father-in-law, Houston, picked them up. His hands were trembling with anger. But, prompted by my words to look at the tag, my in-laws were puzzled, wondering what was going on. It seems they thought Hartley had genuinely bought the baby clothes, thinking of me and Trish. Yeah, right. There's no way Hartley would do something so thoughtful. Finding out the whole truth, my in-laws were trembling. I had always been troubled by my relationship with Hartley. But it's time to stop worrying alone. It's time to open my in-laws' eyes. To make Hartley, who repeats such disrespectful actions, suffer. With that in mind, I devised a revenge plan. My name is Wilma, a housewife in her 30s. I live with my husband and my in-laws, 4 of us together. My husband, Hartley, and I were colleagues at our former job. We were like rivals, pushing each other to do better, which eventually led us to dating, and 2 years later, he proposed, saying,
"Will you marry me?"
I accepted Hartley's proposal without hesitation. After all, I truly loved him. Who wouldn't be overjoyed to be proposed to by someone they love? But just around that time, we got news that my father-in-law Houston was unwell. Fortunately, it wasn't serious, and he has fully recovered now, though there's a risk of relapse. So, we decided it was unsafe to leave Francis alone to care for him, and we started living with my in-laws immediately after getting married. My in-laws had always been good to me before we got married. Especially Houston, who doted on me as if I were his own daughter and always listened to my troubles seriously. According to my in-laws, they had always wanted a daughter. But they weren't really blessed with children, so a girl was out of the question. To them, having me, who doesn't keep a distance due to being an in-law but communicates like a real daughter, was more than they could have wished for. If you have any troubles, feel free to talk to us. Wilma, you're like a daughter to us.
We'll do anything we can for you. After all, Hartley is always in your care.
I cherished my in-laws' words and treated them as I would my own parents. Living with my in-laws has been smooth sailing, to be honest. There was none of the rumored mistreatment by in-laws, and I wasn't burdened with all the housework alone. Francis, my mother-in-law, and I cooperated to manage the household chores every day. Honestly, I'm not good at housework. My cooking is mediocre. I can never fully get rid of dust no matter how much I clean, and sometimes I mess up the laundry, causing clothes to fade. If I had to do all the housework alone, it would have been a disaster. But my mother-in-law, Frances, watched over me patiently so I wouldn't make mistakes. She was kind but never indulged me, saying it's okay not to be able to do something. She sometimes taught me strictly how to do the housework, which I deeply appreciated. Houston would occasionally take me to shopping malls far away. During those times, we would usually end up walking around various stores because he would insist, asking if there was anything I wanted. I felt guilty for always receiving gifts, so I tried to refuse, but Houston would stubbornly say, "Let me express my gratitude." And I would end up accepting something of modest price. It might seem like an overbearing kindness, but for someone like me, who grew up in an environment where I couldn't ask for much, it was actually very welcoming. I think he intentionally speaks strongly out of consideration for me. I was grateful every day for Houston's kindness that was beyond words. In the midst of this, joyous news came. That day, feeling unwell, I first consulted with my in-laws.
"It could be serious,"
Frances said, and immediately called the hospital. Houston drove us there right away.
"You're 3 months pregnant,"
the doctor announced, pointing to the ultrasound image that clearly showed a shadow. Yes, I was pregnant with Hartley's child.
Really?
I was overjoyed. The thought of finally becoming a mother was overwhelming. Frances, who had to go through tough morning sickness, knew all too well the hardships of pregnancy. Don't push yourself to do chores during pregnancy. I'll make sure to prepare easy-to-eat food, but don't force yourself to eat, she said kindly, actually taking great care to ensure my comfort. I heard that it's hard to eat during pregnancy, but maybe because Frances was so considerate with the cooking, I naturally felt hungry and could eat well. Thanks to that, I didn't feel sick very often. But there was one big worry I had. It was about my relationship with Hartley. Since I became pregnant, Hartley had clearly started to distance himself. He wouldn't ignore me if I spoke to him, but he would retreat to his room as soon as dinner was over, and he didn't look happy when I tried to start a conversation, clearly avoiding me. "Hey, Hartley, did I do something wrong? You've been a bit distant lately," I asked. Given that my in-laws treated me like their own family, Hartley's attitude stood out unpleasantly. Is it really going to be okay to give birth like this? One day, overwhelmed by these worries, I happened to run into Hartley in the hallway and decided to ask him directly. Hartley made a bitter face and said, "No, it's nothing. I'm just tired," trying to pass by me. Feeling that being tired was not a reason to avoid me, I grabbed his arm and said, "If I did something wrong, please tell me. I want to fix it so we can be better. I'm worried about having the baby like this. What's going on with you, Hartley? Why are you acting so distant? If there's something wrong, I want you to tell me. Aren't we a family?" Yes, we are a family. A family should share whatever troubles it has, no matter what. So, I couldn't just leave Hartley alone if he was troubled by something. Hartley looked annoyed at my persistence. But if I left this gap between us unaddressed, I felt something bad would happen in the future. I looked at Hartley earnestly, feeling this intuition. "I'm tired of this. Just leave it be. I told you, I'm just tired," he said. "But..."
Not buts, I'm telling you to leave it.
Annoyed by my persistence, Hartley yelled loudly and pushed me away. I fell to the ground, unable to stand. Hartley glared at me, who was stunned.
Not being quick to understand the other person is also a problem,
he said, then returned to his room. Indeed, I was aware that I wasn't quick to understand. But that was because I wanted to become a real family with Hartley. Was I wrong? I pondered over this, but didn't think of consulting my in-laws. To my in-laws, Hartley is also a precious son. Speaking ill of Hartley would surely upset them. I didn't want to make my in-laws, who were like my real parents, feel bad. After that, my relationship with Hartley only worsened. Wanting to reduce even the slightest amount of time spent with me, Hartley frequently left the house.
"Is work really that busy?"
Houston worried, to which Hartley responded,
"Don't worry,"
giving them a kind smile. The distance between Hartley and me only grew. Clearly, Hartley was annoyed with me. But why? What did I do? I pondered over it, but could never find an answer. Amidst this, days mercilessly passed, and I eventually gave birth to a healthy baby girl. Her name is Trish. A name filled with various wishes. Even during the onset of labor and my hospital stay, my in-laws visited often, but Hartley never showed his face. Safely discharged, I returned home, a place of comfort. Even though it was the day to meet our beloved child, Hartley was out late on some errand. Lately, Hartley has been acting strange. Does he have any worries? I feel sorry for Wilma, but I'm sure Hartley has his reasons. please forgive him," my in-laws said, leaving me unable to blame Hartley further. Eventually, late at night, Hartley returned. We were dealing with Trish's night crying, so we were awake when he saw us and handed me a wrapped bag, saying,
"Congratulations on the birth. Here, it's a present."
Caught off guard by his unexpected action, I blurted out,
"What? Typical Hartley,"
praised Francis. I was surprised to receive a present because I thought he had no interest in Trish. Upon unwrapping the gift, cute baby clothes emerged. But I immediately threw them in the trash can that was there. Seeing this, my in-laws' eyes widened.
"How could you? Apologize right now. Hartley bought this for you guys. Why would you throw it in the trash like this?"
Frances scolded me, her face turning red. Indeed, that's true. At first glance, my action seemed abnormal and disrespectful. Throwing a gift into the trash in front of the giver is unforgivable. No, Francis. Did you see the tag? I can't possibly let Trish wear something like this. Persuaded by my words, Houston picked up the baby clothes thrown into the trash. Then, my in-laws finally realized how absurd Hartley's actions were.
"What is this?"
Looking at the baby clothes he picked up, Houston trembled. The baby clothes were incredibly yellowed. They were stained everywhere, hardly seeming new. Moreover, there was an odd note on the tag of the baby clothes. The brand listed was not for baby clothes, but was a well-known women's brand. Probably, these baby clothes were originally women's clothing. I admire the effort to remake it, but a clean environment is most important for newborns. No matter how much it's washed, I can't let Trish wear this, I said firmly, glaring at Hartley. Then, Hartley retorted with a face red with anger.
"It's just a little dirty. It's a waste to throw it away. You could wear it if you wash it, right? Who's being disrespectful here?"
Despite my insistence on cleanliness, Hartley kept saying inappropriate things like,
"It can be worn if washed."
To corner Hartley, I opened my mouth. "First of all, why do you have women's clothing? It doesn't seem to be made from my clothes, and if you're gifting, there's no need to remake it. Plus, being this dirty means someone wore it, right? I wonder who gave it to you." I glared at Hartley, applying pressure. Then, Hartley noticeably averted his gaze. "That clothes, I just happened to receive it from someone I know." "Yes, just happened. Just happened, so. There's nothing shady about it." Hartley's voice rose in a panic. His tone clearly indicated he was hiding something. But no matter how much pressure I applied, he seemed unlikely to talk. So, I took out a certain envelope from the cupboard. "Do you know what this is?" I smirked and flaunted it in front of Hartley. Well, he couldn't possibly know just by looking at the envelope. Thinking I'd show him everything, I flipped the envelope over, scattering its contents on the table. Curious about what was inside, my in-laws and Hartley approached the table. The moment he recognized what it was, Hartley's face turned deathly pale, and he covered the table with his body.
"Hartley! What's wrong? Don't look! You shouldn't see! Why do you have such a thing? How in the world?"
Hartley's tone was one of utter bewilderment. With Hartley covering the table, my in-laws were clueless about what was happening. I handed my in-laws a copy of the contents of the envelope I had saved for such a time.
This is...
What was depicted was clearly Hartley's infidelity scene. Hartley was arm in arm with a gaudily dressed young woman, probably entering her apartment, a scene clearly captured in the photos. In fact, I had suspected Hartley of cheating for some time. After I got pregnant, Hartley started to distance himself from me noticeably. With the help of my in-laws and in a mentally stable state, I questioned Hartley's actions and, through acquaintances, requested an investigation from a detective agency. The investigation yielded evidence of his infidelity. Apparently, the other woman was a junior at the same company, and it was widely rumored within the company that the two were having an affair.
How could you? To have an affair with another woman while Wilma is here.
Frances turned pale and condemned Hartley. Indeed, that's true. Until now, my in-laws had trusted Hartley. Knowing that their trusted son was involved in such a terrible act of betrayal, it was impossible for them to stay sane.
No, it's a misunderstanding. I didn't mean to spend time with her like that. Indeed, I made this baby clothing from clothes she gave me. But it was thinking of Trish. She even congratulated me on my child. But it was because she liked me so much, I tried to respond to her feelings.
Hartley desperately tried to explain in a manner that seemed reasonable. But his explanation clearly showed him to be a terrible person. Yet Hartley seemed to argue as if to say, "There were circumstances, so it can't be helped," desperately trying to justify himself.
First of all, isn't it Wilma's fault for not paying any attention to me? Since Wilma got pregnant, I've been feeling lonely. All of this is Wilma's fault, right?
As if it were my fault. During my pregnancy, my in-laws supported me through the hard times, while Hartley, as if he had no use for a pregnant wife, blatantly avoided me. Until I knew about the affair, I thought Hartley might be struggling with something. But after being advised by a friend to investigate, all I found out was the unbelievable fact that Hartley was having an affair. Leaving his pregnant wife at home, letting his real parents take care of everything, while he freely enjoyed himself outside, was outrageous. Such behavior is inexcusable. Yet Hartley retorted with,
"What's wrong with that?"
As if what I was saying was absurd, but to any reasonable person, it would be clear that not I, but Hartley, was the one being unreasonable. Despite this, Hartley unilaterally blamed me, saying,
"It's Wilma's fault. It's Wilma's fault."
Frustrated by his ridiculous claims, I wanted to retort, but the only preparation I had made was the evidence of his affair. I thought showing him the evidence would make him reflect a bit. But far from reflecting, Hartley became defensive and blamed me even more. This was beyond my expectations. I pondered how to make Hartley feel the impact of his actions. But I didn't know what to do. However, I couldn't just let it be. As I was troubled, Houston shouted,
"Enough already!"
Seeing Houston, who is usually mild-mannered, yelling was something I had never witnessed before, so I was surprised and looked over to see Houston's face turning beet red with anger. That must have been how unforgivable Hartley's actions were to him.
"I trusted you. I believed you would never act dishonorably towards others. What you did was a betrayal. You betrayed both Wilma's and our trust, and yet you show no remorse. Why can't you apologize? Why are you so?"
Saying this, Houston grabbed Hartley by the collar. Hartley had told me before that Houston, known for his gentleness, had never seriously yelled at him in his life. Seeing Houston genuinely angry, Hartley, Frances, and I were all taken aback. "What's gotten into you? Why are you so upset?"
"Dad, you've always forgiven me for anything I've done. Why get mad over this? I'm your only son, aren't I?"
Hartley yelled back, but Houston, unfazed by such pressure, glared at him. Frightened by Houston's piercing gaze, Hartley was silenced, unable to say anything more. I couldn't help but laugh inwardly at his comeuppance. However, I made sure not to show it on my face.
"All of this is your own doing.
I've never seen Houston this angry before. That's how unforgivable your actions are. You betrayed not just me, but Houston as well. Yet, you persist in your innocence without any sign of remorse? How can you say such things? You don't seem to understand, so let me make it clear. What you've done is absolutely inexcusable. I had trusted Hartley. I wanted to trust him. Yet, what awaited me was a cruel betrayal. I wanted to have a happy life with Hartley, my in-laws, and Trish. Being an ordinary family would have been enough. Hartley shattered my modest dream completely. That is something that cannot be forgiven.
What? Everyone's blaming me. Was what I did really that bad? No, it wasn't. It's all Wilma's fault for neglecting me during her pregnancy. If Wilma had taken care of me properly, none of this would have happened. It's because she failed as a wife.
No matter how much I argue Hartley's claims are absurd, he sticks to his belief that he's not at fault. His unrepentant attitude has moved beyond irritation to outright disbelief. Seeing Hartley like this, I realized it was hopeless. There's no point in talking to Hartley anymore.
It seems you won't understand no matter what I say.
Fine, let's divorce. I can't deal with you anymore. I'll take custody of Trish, so just prepare yourself for that. As I said this, Hartley's face went pale with the mention of divorce. He hadn't anticipated being divorced after everything that had happened. His naively optimistic thinking made me feel nauseous. You thought you wouldn't be divorced? That's absurd. What you did was outright betrayal. You've completely destroyed my trust. I can't live with someone like that as a family, let alone trust you as Trish's father. Who knows what kind of person Trish would become if raised by someone as irresponsible as you? With those dismissive words, Hartley slumped in despair. At the same time, Houston released his grip and sat down.
But if you divorce me,
Hartley was muttering to himself. His face turning pale, and I couldn't help but smirk. But there was no one to lend Hartley a hand. Thus, we ended up getting divorced. Hartley desperately resisted, saying, I don't want a divorce. But my in-laws forcefully made him sign the divorce papers. As a result, we were able to divorce amicably. Needless to say, I got custody of Trish, and because of Hartley's infidelity, I demanded alimony and child support in the divorce proceedings. Faced with the amount, Hartley protested.
I can't pay that.
But my in-laws pressured him into accepting. The alimony and child support turned out to be too much for Hartley to pay, so his parents ended up covering it instead. In return, Hartley was forced to promise to repay his parents in full, and now he's desperately working to do so. I heard he's overwhelmed just trying to repay the money he owes, leaving him no time for his hobbies. As a result, he was even dumped by the mistress he valued so much, which reportedly caused him considerable emotional shock. It seems their relationship was that superficial after all. Hartley is now leading a bottom-of-the-barrel life, while I, on the other hand, am walking a path of happiness. Since then, I've gone back to my parents' house and, with their help, I started earning money to raise Trish. My parents told me not to overwork myself, but money is essential for ensuring Trish can choose her own path in life eventually. That's why I'm saving diligently now, so Trish can lead whatever life she chooses. Being a single mother will undoubtedly bring various challenges. I might even cause trouble for Trish. But I have many people willing to help, including my parents and in-laws. I'll use all the connections I've made to the fullest, striving as a mother to ensure my dear daughter's life is fulfilling.